Alright, quick update on GalaGames. So if we start off on the daily time frame, you can see the move that we were talking about in our last video is starting to come into play. We were talking about this head and shoulders breakdown that's, in my opinion, still very likely to be on the horizon. The right shoulder has expanded a little bit as we continue to move up to the upside. You can see on the daily time frame, all we've really done is solidified another rejection from the daily EMA ribbons. The last time we got rejected from the daily EMAs, we were up here at 7.1 cent. The time before that, we were up here at 9 cent. The time before that, I have to scroll back very far to see the last time we were in here, round about, 25 cent, topping out at 29 cents. So you can really see every time you do have a solid move into these EMA ribbons, if you do quickly shoot to the downside, it is normally a sign that you are going to get massively slaughtered. Now, there have been times, just like at this moment in time, where I do potentially think we could set up for a bounce in the lower time frames. If we do look at what Gala's doing on the 4-hourly time frame, you can see the money flow indicator is very bottomed out now, meaning that most of the retail money has sold in the lower time frames. Obviously, the higher the time frame, you can definitely see there is a lot more money that can potentially flow out of these markets. And while I am saying it is a possibility that we can bounce up to some higher levels to solidify the rejection, I'll be talking about those rejection points in a second. I would also like to highlight on the daily momentum indicators, MACD is about to cross bearish, and you are flipping very bearish over on the histogram chart. So, while yes, on the daily time frame it is possible we can come up to some of these rejection points, it is pretty black and white right now. Looking at the squeeze momentum indicator, it's heading down. Looking at the money flow indicator, there's a lot of room to move to the downside. But however, like I said, 4-hourly time frame momentum is starting to subside. This is the same with the rest of the crypto markets. Bitcoin has come down into this bear flag uptrending level of support, and on the daily time frame, actually no, I take that back, on the daily time frame we're still heading down, but the 4-hourly time frame, once again, momentum is starting to shift back up. I have been talking about this on my channel with Bitcoin. We do have a fractal playing out. We've got an asymmetrical triangle, break up, M pattern down, asymmetrical triangle, and then this could be something like this that we do. And with this bounce to the upside on Bitcoin, Gala could come up to some of these higher price targets, confirm the breakdown, and start to head to the downside. So since the last video, we really haven't started moving down too much. We're only down 6.5% since we did make this prediction. If you are wondering where the next level down is, this is the price target of the next leg to the downside from the head and shoulders breakdown. I don't think we're going to be breaking down today, namely because we have the CPI report coming in on Wednesday. I do believe inflation is going to be through the roof. I do believe that it is already priced into the markets. We normally bounce on the day of these CPI meetings, and then we head back to the downside. So once again, I would not be surprised if within the next 48 hours we could once again bounce up to some rejection points and then head to the downside. But the higher time frames, the trend is very black and white. Once again, 4-hour looks like we're coming up to some rejection points. Daily time frame, nothing's changed, and the second this MACD flips bearish, you could potentially see a lot of momentum coming in, because we are coming all the way back up to the heart line from a massively oversold trend. So we're resetting the bearish momentum on the higher time frames, and this is going to allow a lot of momentum to shift in when we do have that next leg to the downside. So if I had to hazard a guess, if you put a gun to my head saying when is the exact day that we'll be done with the bounce to the upside and then be down, I think that's going to be coming on Thursday, because once again, Wednesday, I potentially see a bounce coming. I would really not bet on it. Once again, my price target is unchanged. I am predicting for a leg to the downside in the mid to higher time frames. I'm not here to say what's going to happen in the next 4 hours, but it is likely we can bounce up in the short term. So if we do draw a couple of Fibonacci's and look at our resistance points, you can see, yes, we have basically had a pit stop over on the neckline of the head and shoulders. But if we do draw from the lows of this trend, you can see that we did have a support box all the way from down here, which is where we've subsequently touched so far. So if we draw from the next levels up, because we're obviously already above this point here, this is where we broke down from. So you've got the low down here on the trend, which is hard to see because of my previous price prediction. How far are we down from here? So I believe this was over on the 10th of June. We were calling for a 48% drop. We're still down almost 35%, so lovely predictions playing out. And as you can see, we had a prediction before this, 75% drop. How far are we down from our previous? This was one of our longer term predictions, down 46%, so very nice. I don't think we've got any, no. So we've really started covering Gala extensively around about this range. You can also see there is a nice amount of volume coming in right now. It is a very 50-50 fight between the bulls and the bears right now. But that momentum needs to start coming in ASAP, and I'll show you why. If we head over to the Heikonaushi time frame, you can see the predominant amount of volume is in favor of the bears. If we do clear up the chart and head over, once again, redrawing the head and shoulders breakdown, this is why I think it can get very dangerous from here, and betting on that bounce, you know, once again, just like I said, I do potentially think a bounce could happen in the next 48 hours. Would I be betting on that? Absolutely not. I'm betting for a move to the downside. I don't necessarily care what happens in 24 hours, but momentum is heading down very, very strongly. RSI is about to come down to 30, and that, you know, once again, can be a signal that the market is oversold, but you know, RSI can only tell you so much when we're about to enter a global recession. And if Bitcoin decides that it doesn't want to bounce on Wednesday because of the CPI report, I will be covering that over on my channel if you do want to keep up with it. And you can basically kiss the bounce goodbye for Gala. So with that being said, if we are not having an extensive bounce, let's see. So over on the Heikonaushis, you'd need to close halfway through the previous candle body. So this would be round about here at basically 5 cent on the dot. Just above 5 cent is really where you would need to close above, and as you can see right now, momentum is definitely in favor of the bears. On the 4-hourly time frame, besides the level that we pointed out, you can potentially even come up to as high as 5.1 on the 4-hour before heading back down, solidifying that next 4-hourly bearish momentum reset. And as you can see, you know, the RSI is technically oversold on the 4-hour, but the markets are very weak. So if we do come up to 5.1 cent, you could potentially witness a big move up on the RSI, which will create a lot of room to the downside for our next move back down. So once again, looking at the head and shoulders on the daily, looking at the Heikonaushi candles, momentum is absolutely in favor of the bears. Head over to the weekly time frame on the Heikonaushis. This is one of the more brutal ones. I think this is 14 weeks. I think it's the same. Oh my gosh, no, it's not. Let me just count this to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks worth of a downtrend over on the Heikonaushis. In fact, this is actually the most bearish altcoin I cover on the weekly time frame. The reason I said 14 is because all the other altcoins that I've covered on the weekly Heikonaushis, total crypto market cap, Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, they're all having 14 weeks worth of a downtrend. But over on GalaGames, 15 weeks, looking at the volume on the weekly time frame, volume's exponentially increasing. Once again, we're drawing this as a line of best fit, like this was a scatter graph, and as you can see, volume is really rising to the upside. Bear in mind, at this moment in time, we are only on Tuesday, so this is why this candle over here for the weekly is all the way down here. So far on the weekly, in the past 48 hours, not even 48 hours, so far in the week, we've got 182 million sold over on KuCoin. The previous week before that, we had 677 million sold. And, you know, once again, we've got a lot of time for this to continue to move to the upside. If we do pump on Wednesday because of the CPI, and then we have a huge cascade on Thursday, I do believe this is where we could potentially see a bearish engulfing candle over on the weekly time frame, and this is definitely going to drag Gala to much lower price targets. So all in all, I just wanted to give you a quick update that since our previous prediction, once again, this is another price prediction that is aging well, and I would definitely like to advise caution that while yes, I am saying that in my opinion, I give about a 50 to 60% probability of a bounce to the upside in the next 48 hours, but I give a 95% probability of another macro leg to the downside, and I'm more interested in the mid to macro term moves. I really wouldn't be worried about, are we going to bounce in 48 hours? I would be waiting, see what happens on Wednesday, see what subsequently comes into the stock market opening over on Thursday. If the dollar keeps on running up, which it is, stock market heads down on Thursday, then Gala is going to get absolutely decimated, and I think we're going to be heading down to this price target a lot quicker than people think. So from where I think we're going to be in about 7 to 14 days, so 1 or 2 weeks, I believe we're going to come down to 2.95 cent. This would be basically a 40% drop from where we are. If we are going to bounce up once again, I find it quite hard to believe we would have a strong impulse above round about 5.3 cent. And bear in mind, if we come up to 5.3 cent, this could be an 8.6% move. Once again, wouldn't count on it. If we come up to the 21 EMA on the 4-hourly time frame, that is about a 5% move. I find that a lot more probable, a 5% move to the upside. We can even come up to this resistance. You can see on the daily time frame, if we clear up the chart once again, just so you can see it, we have a big area of support all the way throughout these wicks. And if we do come up to the top, 5.3 cent, once again showing itself as a major area of resistance. I really don't think we're going to come back into the daily EMA ribbons. Could be wrong on that, but once again, keep your eyes on what's going to happen on Wednesday. In the next 2 weeks, I think we're going to come down to 2.95 cent. I imagine the markets would have a significant rally as we do come down to these levels. I do think it's going to be a dead cat bounce because, as I've been predicting since we were all the way back here at 9 cent on the 10th of May, I've been predicting a 77% drop. Gala to come down to 2 cent. That is my bear market low target. I find it somewhat hard to believe that we could head much further below that region, but once again, I would not be surprised. We'll talk about it closer to the time. You've even got 1.618 Fibonacci's down here at 1 cent on the dot. So we'll definitely reevaluate the market as we come down to 2 cent. Would I be putting buy orders down at 2 cent just because I think that's where the bear market low is? Absolutely not. We've got a lot of things coming in the next 3 weeks, in the next 2 days. Actually, no, it's Tuesday, so in the next 24 hours, we've got the CPI meeting. In the next the CPI report. In the next 2.5 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we have the GDP report. Then we've got the FOMC meeting. So the next 3 weeks is going to be an absolute shit show for the markets. And subsequently, the next 2 months, I see Gala down here at 2 cent. We'll reevaluate the market. But once again, this is what I see happening. I still think from where we are right now, the bear market low is approximately about another 57% drop away. And one other thing to back that up is we really haven't had the face tear to the downside that we do witness in every bear market. Now, I say this from experience because I was here back in the 2018 bear, and people started thinking the bottom was in when we created this quote-unquote bottoming structure where we were creating a large base of support. People thought the bottom was in round about 5,600 on the retest, and I remember absolute panic induced the markets when altcoins when Bitcoin capitulated. Altcoins massively capitulated from 5,670 all the way down to 3,100. That was the final face tear to the downside, signifying the bottom, and we saw the same face tear on the breakdown to 3,900 in the pandemic scare for Bitcoin. So I do not think that this moment in time has happened, and once again, this is why I do not yet believe that the bottom is in for Gala. Keep your eyes on the prize. I will be letting you know what I think is going to be happening round about Wednesday to Thursday. I'll be giving you an update on the market structure for Gala. That's all I've got for you today, my friends. And as always, Cowboy out. Peace.